The United States trying to take it to the finish line ahead of the Romanians.
Here come the Americans. The Americans are charging 43 strokes per minute. The USA closing in on Australia with every stroke.
And Regina Salmons, they are Olympic rowers who competed in the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games. They are preparing for next Summer Games in Paris.
Well, my personal kind of like motto is to be vicious on the water, like just like, but super kind out of the boat.
Today we're speaking with two-time Olympic rower Regina Salmons. Regina is a World Silver Medalist in the women's 8, a book lover, and an outspoken advocate for women and girls. I'm excited to speak with her because she's very inspiring and she has a lot to teach us in her episode.
So just to start, can you introduce yourselves?
I'm Regina Salmons. I'm a rower on the U.S. Olympic and national team. I started rowing when I was 13 years old at my high school. I had tried almost every other single sport and enjoyed them all, but wasn't quite the right fit. And then I found rowing, and just being on the water felt like home. And I'm really lucky that I've gotten to continue with it to the highest level. Rowed in college at the University of Pennsylvania. And then after graduating, I joined the Olympic Training Center in Princeton, New Jersey, which is the Olympic Training Center for rowing. And I've been there for the last 6 years. This will be, I think, my 6th national team, and really excited for my 2nd Olympics.
That is awesome. I have one question that I love asking people. What did you love about rowing when you first discovered it? Like, what made you feel like this is it?
So the first day we went out on the water, it was actually this like crazy bad weather day. Like there were these like massive waves, like the wind was crazy, but like being out on the water, it really felt like I was in one of those like movies, you know, where like the Viking crew is like rowing out to war, like to battle, and I was just like, oh, this is so cool. Like I don't know, I just like felt so strong in the boat. I just loved the feeling of like how your body feels like pushing off the oar, and like how when you do that with other people, it just like magnifies. So I just love the energy of it. It's a really like high energy sport.
That is so cool. What does physical preparation look like for you?
It's definitely like a full body sport. Like we're using our legs more than our arms. In rowing, the stat is you use 80% of your muscles. So
oh wow,
we're targeting 80% of our muscle. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
When we met at the Head of the Charles, you also mentioned some sort of stereotypes and things that you dealt with growing up. What have been some of the challenges and hurdles that you have faced and experienced specifically around body? If you're willing to share.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew pretty quickly, like from like 6th to 7th grade, I think I grew like 10 inches, like something like totally massive. And like, it's like, that's kind of a traumatic experience, right? Like for your body to change like that dramatically in like such a short period of time, essentially. Like I was just like covered in stretch marks, like the inside of my thighs, like just like totally red. It's like really hard because everybody is like really insecure and having a hard time at that age. And rather than like looking inward, I feel like the response is usually for people to like look outward, or like, oh, that person's having a harder time than me. Like, let me just like if the attention's on them, then the attention won't be on me.
Totally.
And so like, I was pretty confident. And so like people would like tease and I'd be like, oh yeah, like, oh yeah, like, okay, like, yeah, I'm a big girl, like whatever. But like even I remember my skiing coach in middle school, he would call me big girl. He like wouldn't call me by my name. He'd be like, yeah, you go big girl. And he like meant it as like a compliment, but it just like, it was like, oh, you know, you just get that like ick feeling. And I don't know, it was just like really hard for people to be like, oh, you're so big, like you're so tall, like you're like the Twin Towers. And I was like, oh my God, like
wow.
Whoa. Because I played all these sports growing up, and I was like okay at a lot of them. Like I was okay at soccer, like I was okay at skiing, like not really good, but you know, I held my own. But then I found rowing, and it was like I finally found the sport that like really fit my body type. and like saw other women that looked like me and like was able to utilize like that length and that strength.
So how were you able to overcome all of that? Like, did you do a specific work, like mental work?
I think for me, I found a really good outlet like in writing, and, you know, write down my feelings or like write poetry or just like this kind of stuff as like a way to process that. Like also I had a really good group of friends, so I was able to like, even though like there was like all this negativity coming in, that I was able to just kind of like focus on my friendships, and like that was like a really source of positivity. And so for me, it like really had to shift from like, okay, you're not like the beauty standard, whatever, but being like feeling good while rowing actually is better than like how I look. Like, and this is for any body type too, right? Like how you feel in your body is infinitely more important than like any beauty standard, any beauty ideal. There definitely were periods where like maybe I like wasn't eating and like fueling properly in high school, and like I hadn't quite learned that skill set yet, but I was able to like start like undoing that, like, okay, feeling good while competing and feeling how strong my body is more important than how I actually look. And you know, that's something I still struggle with, and it's like I don't know if it's something that like as women like even like will ever be able to fully let go of, but I feel like for me it's like the more that I can just like give it a little bit less energy is like better for me.
That's amazing. And you're pointing out like a problem of our society, I feel, because we're always reminding, no matter what we do, if we want to become a mom, if we are athletes, if we are just women living their best lives, there is always something that is being said. So it's a great reminder.
Regina, what advice would you give for girls or boys who are listening to this?
I would say be confident and really just believe in yourself. You know, like no matter what level you're at, no matter like how deep you are into the sport, just like really giving yourself the chance and saying yes, because at the end of the day, it's about loving the sport and getting the chance to push yourself and to learn and to grow and become like that kind of, I don't want to say better version of yourself, but maybe like more evolved version of yourself, like almost like a Pokemon character. Like you kind of just like evolve into yourself, if that makes sense. Like you're just like,
Regina, I know of all the different Olympic sports out there, rowing is a little less known. Talk to us about some of the misconceptions about rowing, what you want people to know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the most basic misconception is that it's like all arms or that it's canoe or kayaking. I feel like sometimes people don't even know the difference between like rowing, canoeing, and kayaking. So rowing is the fastest of the three of the boat sports because, you know, we have more people, so that's more momentum. And we use our legs, unlike canoe and kayak. So with rowing, your legs are your strongest part of your body, and we really utilize those with momentum to make the boat go fast. Rowing is also a sport like you can join later in life. Like I actually joined on the earlier side at age 13. Like a lot of girls don't start, or boys too, obviously, you know, until mid-high school, late high school, college. Like it favors hard work over talent or time. Yeah.
Regina, talk to us about your studies. So you mentioned poetry. One challenge that many athletes face is there's this kind of this pigeonholing of you're an athlete, that is your identity.
Yeah, because I feel like that too. Like I feel like there's just like so much movies growing up where it's like this is the jock and this is the athlete, or like this is the artist. Because for me in college, like so I was in like 2 different poetry groups. You know, I also like ran the literary and arts magazine, the feminist literary and arts magazine.
Yes.
And yeah, I was an English major at the Kelly Writers House at Penn, and I studied creative writing, and it was like all of these outlets, like artistically and academically and intellectually, like really helped me then to when I went to rowing, I could just turn my brain off. And I didn't burn out, right? Like I think that was another thing, is because I had these other outlets in college, I didn't burn out from athletics.
I love that. Yeah. Talk to us about your goals for the future.
Definitely, you know, the goal for the summer is we're chasing the podium. And then beyond that, I will probably keep competing and maybe go for a 3rd Olympic Games. yeah, check in with me again after this fall. But that's still the dream.
Regina, 2 follow-up questions for me. What do you want to say to all of the Olympians and Paralympians who are going to be in Paris with you?
Well, I'm so excited to meet you. I feel like in Tokyo, like we were all so like isolated. I'm so excited to meet all my teammates, and also too to like meet all the international competitors as well. Like it's so cool. Like, you know, like people from all around the world are committing themselves to this high level of excellence and like the pursuit of the human like spirit and the human body. And so I'm definitely excited to meet everyone.
Last question, any actions you want people to take after listening to your story?
Well, my personal kind of like motto is to be vicious on the water, like just like out for blood on the water, but super kind out of the boat. And I just like hope that people listening to this will maybe take a second to be kinder to themselves and give yourself a compliment every day. You know, kindness in conjunction with that like aggression and confidence and just viciousness in competition can be a really powerful thing.
Thanks for tuning into Flame Bearers.
If you like what you're hearing, please leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us along on social media for more behind-the-scenes exclusive content on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever social platform you are on. Thank you, and stay tuned for our upcoming episode.